Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the At the Pub podcast, where none of us are experts, but all of us have opinions. I'm your host, Eric, aka From the Coach, and I am joined here, as always, by
the Dallas Mavericks.
Yes, the goated team that we're only going to be talking about, the only good Dallas team. So,
well, that's not true.
No, it's I obviously you did not watch Game 1. The Oilers are far superior. Anyway, we'll get into that later. But just clean up some house with some hockey news. A little bit of kind of all over the place news, not just NHL based, but we're starting out with the PWHL. The Boston and Minnesota PWHL teams are in the final at the moment. Last I checked, Minnesota is up 2-1 in the series. If they take the game tonight, it seems they are taking the first ever Walter Cup. So good on them. I've been cheering since Minnesota. I was telling Seb before the show, I've been cheering Minnesota since the PWHL started. I'm not a bandwagoner. I've always fucked with the Minnesota hockey. I think it's about time they actually get good hockey. So it seems that they finally answered the prayers.
Yeah, I was cheering for Montreal this season. I'm fortunate to see how they go, but good on Minnesota for being a fourth seed and getting in. You love to see it.
Yeah, you love to see the underdog. At least Montreal made the semifinals. They did get swept, but they made the semifinals. That's something.
Yeah, it is what it is. They'll be back next year.
Yeah, they'll be back with the new fresh logos, fresh jerseys. I'm excited for that. I'm excited to see a lot of the changes coming to the PWHL in the off season here. I hear there's going to be quite a few.
Yeah, and I'm excited over the next couple of years. I can't wait until they talk expansion because I'm really hoping we get a team. I think we are in talks once the new arena is built to potentially get a team. I'd really like to see that happen because I think the fans here would go ballistic.
Yeah, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the teams that are front running, they want a few more American teams, and they also want, I believe they want a Vancouver and an Edmonton team, if I'm not mistaken.
I think the plan is to go Calgary, Edmonton, Vancouver, and then spread out a bunch more in the States, which would be cool to see. I'm here for it. Yeah,
and I also heard somewhere that they're gonna try to hit markets that the NHL haven't touched yet.
Yeah.
Which is really smart. So like I think, God, I don't have it in front of me, but I remember one of the cities was, I want to say like Milwaukee was on the list.
Yeah, Milwaukee's on there because they only have the Admirals in the AHL. I think Atlanta was also talked about. I believe Kansas City was talked about. I think New Orleans was even talked about.
Oh, that would be good. Yeah.
I think it's just a really smart business strategy. Go to markets that the NHL isn't in already. And even if the NHL expands there, you'll already have such a footing. Hell, the NHL, because they have like a quote-unquote partnership with the PWHL, they'd probably be cool with that because they want it almost to be like a tester for the market. Like if they respond really well to a PWHL team, they'll respond really well to an NHL franchise. So I think the NHL would wholeheartedly support them going into new markets because they basically get free market testing from them. So it's kind of a win-win for both sides.
And like I know like the NHL and the PWHL are very close. And like I honestly think a PWHL would do great in all those markets just because like if you like, I feel like every other game they're posting like, oh, new attendance record and new like TV records and stuff like that. Like it's thriving. So you love to see it. You love to see a new league come and thrive.
Yep.
But back to another thriving league. The Sheldon Keefe has been hired as the 4-year contract for the New Jersey Devils. I guess it's a head coach that they needed to fill, I suppose.
I kind of like this hire. I low-key like this hire. I think it'll actually like pay dividends. I think Sheldon Keefe is a good coach. He was just in over his head in Toronto. Like if you give him the roster New Jersey has and kind of less market pressure, I think it'll work out. There's still though their main issue is goaltending. Like, if people got mad about Samsonov and Keefe playing Samsonov too much, your main goalie is Jake Allen. Like, this is a team that needs to make a trade for... Like, I assume there's no way they don't trade for either Markstrom or Allmark in the offseason. But I don't know. I think this is a good hire. Out of all the coaches they could have hired, since Berube was off the table with the Leafs, I like this hire. And you know the old saying, like, anyone who leaves Toronto immediately does well. So
yeah, like I do see the Devils getting Markstrom far over Allmark. I don't think Boston's ready to let go of Allmark. I think they're kind of hitting we got the good tandem, we're going to stay with that. Yeah, like, I don't know. I honestly, like you're saying, like, the Devils kind of live and die on goaltending right now. I think if they can figure out their goaltending situation in the offseason, then Sheldon Keefe will be a good fit. He has proved that he's pretty good with, like, the young guys. He can coach them really well. He does have kind of a softer approach that I think a lot of younger players gravitate towards, with guys like Luke Hughes and Jack Hughes and stuff.
yeah, he's going to be really good for their young core.
Yeah.
And I mean, you think about how players have performed under him. Like, Timo Meier struggled when he got to New Jersey because Lindy Ruff and Travis Green just basically refused to play him on the top line. Sheldon Keefe's going to play this guy on the top line. He's going to play him on the top power play. He's going to play him with Brad and Hughes. Like, Sheldon Keefe is not afraid to let his stars kind of go wild. And, like, part of me thinks that, like, a lot of Toronto's struggles have just been players getting in their own heads. Like, I really don't think the roster itself is bad. In fact, if you move Toronto's roster to any other team, they're just anywhere other than Toronto, they're probably, like, a deep cup contender every year. I just think it's part market and part players getting in their own head. And so if you pair them with a guy like Sheldon Keefe, like, I don't know, this could age really poorly, but at the same time, the Devils, they seem to make good moves. So I'm not going to be shocked if Jack Hughes, Timo Meier, Jesper Bratt, and Dougie, if he's back, all post, like, massive, massive seasons.
Yeah, I think Dougie is supposed to be back.
He should be.
Yeah.
And that'll be massive for them.
Yeah, that'll be huge. So yeah, I mean, best of luck to Devils fans. I don't hate the Devils. I was disappointed in the Devils this year, more like just like a parent. I was kind of like, you should be doing better. You know you can do better. And just hoping that they end up, like, getting it together, and they just never did, which is unfortunate. But yeah, speaking of unfortunate, Jim Hiller is to sign an undisclosed extension with LA. I think they liked how he ended the season.
They did.
So I think, like, he was their interim head coach for the last few weeks of the season, if I'm not memory serves me,
and into the playoffs.
And into playoffs. So I don't think it's been disclosed. I'll double check as of yet what his extension is. But LA's made it pretty clear that they are going to sign an extension for him.
I believe, if I might be thinking wrong from 32 Thoughts, it was either a 2 or 3 year extension beyond this current season. I think it's the same extension that Scott Arniel in Winnipeg, who just got hired on after being an interim, or he was an interim whenever Bonus was out, but he was an assistant. And then, I can't remember his name, the current head coach of the Blues, who was moved from interim, he got a 2 year extension. That seems to be the new norm. If you move from an interim or assistant role, you get a 2 year extension. And that makes sense. It's just really covering your bases in case it doesn't work out. At least you're not committing money too long.
Yeah, like I'm always curious in these cases where an interim head coach becomes kind of like the primary going into the actual season. Sometimes it works out in spades. Sometimes it really doesn't. You can't deny he had a good run with Kings so far with the 34 games with the 21-12-1 record.
Yeah, that's a good record.
It's a really good record for a team that was struggling beforehand as well. He has an aging roster. We'll see what they do in the offseason.
They need to get Dubois going.
Yeah, like I don't know what their solution with Dubois is. Like I feel like every episode we bully him now, but I feel like Dubois is their biggest problem right now, genuinely, because I think the amount of money he's siphoning from that team with the amount of production he's putting in is just it's arguably the worst contract like ever.
It's one of
Yeah.
and if the thing is that with the Kings, they're betting that he's going to get better, but if he doesn't, this will absolutely be one of the worst contracts. This could surpass the Huberdeau contract, and that's saying a lot because
The Huberdeau contract, like
the
it
Huberdeau
looks
contract,
like
as of right now, is the
gold.
worst contract in the league. But compared to
Yeah.
Dubois, if Dubois plays like he has been, I mean, the difference is that the Kings are trying really hard to contend now, and they kind of sped up their rebuild because they overachieved so fast. Whereas the Flames are in a different position. They're just stuck in hell. Like, honestly, it doesn't matter because they're always going to be a 15th overall team. The Kings are trying to contend. So with that much dead weight, trying to be a contender, yikes. So they need to get him going. They were saying on 32 Thoughts on Friday that one of the things Jim Hiller has said is that they didn't get a lot of time to really practice new systems when he took over because of how much travel you have to do from LA, which I didn't even think about. Like, yeah, they're pretty isolated. Like, you do not get a lot of time to rest and practice. So it'll be interesting to see them in a full off season, but still, if Dubois doesn't get going, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, like it sucks like that they kind of put themselves in the position where um, the team kind of lives and dies on that contract. Like if he can get going and he can like go back to his old production, then he's fine. Like then the team is gonna look a lot better. But I think yeah, like you're saying, like if he doesn't step up, then it could go down as like the worst contract in hockey.
Yeah, which will make at least the Flames won't be number one in worst contract in the league anymore.
Yeah, no, exactly. And then over to the NCAA for a moment. The NCAA is moving forward on $1 billion settlement, over $1 billion settlement to finally let schools directly pay players. This is huge news for the for young athletes right now. Not just hockey, but like it covers like basketball, football, whole bunch.
It's
of
going to
shit.
change every single every single college university in North America.
Yep.
And I know this covers the USA, but I'm thinking like even in terms of like Canadian universities, like this changes everything. Like Canadian universities don't pay. This is like stupidly ridiculous. In terms of the fact that there was also that discussion, I don't know if you remember a couple months back, where there's the discussion about potentially allowing CHL players to go direct to the NCAA. I think after like 1 year of eligibility. Why would you want to go play in the CHL, get paid nothing, when you could go play in the NCAA, live in the States, get paid money, and you can get NIL deals, and you're probably going to play the same minutes, if not better than you would in the CHL.
Yep.
It's
And you can still directly go to the NHL.
and you can still go direct to the NHL. And if you remember the BCHL, one of the reasons they wanted to split from the CHL is because they wanted to allow players to go direct to the NCAA. Instead of having to go to the CHL, you could go direct to the NCAA, USA Hockey. We have officially entered the new era where the USA is now a powerhouse. I think the NCAA is the best junior league in the world now. Maybe other than if you perform really well in the KHL, because the KHL is really close to the NHL. But I think the NCAA is the new powerhouse. I think it's a far more competitive and better league than the CHL because you have so many kids coming out of the USNTDP. You have so many kids in these crazy collegiate programs. Most of the top draft prospects in this draft are from the NCAA, like Celebrini, the two guys off Denver. Yeah, just insane. So I'm interested to see where this goes, but I do wonder if this will finally move the CHL to do the same thing and pay players, because I do think these
It
players
has
should
to
be
be.
getting. Like
I
I
don't
do
think they have a
think
choice.
I agree, because why would you go play in the CHL when you can
Yeah.
get paid to do the same and you're still going to get drafted, because the NHL now views the NCAA on a similar level to the CHL.
Yeah.
So I know it's a big lifestyle change, but you also get to go to like school while doing it. Like there's
Yeah,
so
you
many
can.
benefits.
Yeah, like it builds your resume up to the point where you can, yeah, like you're saying, like go to school, like get that education on top of just
Like even if you don't
playing
make the
hockey.
NHL,
Yeah.
you still get you still get your whole education paid for.
Yeah, and it like let's like to be realistic, like most players in the NCAA are not going to touch the NHL. Same with the CHL. Most players are not going to make it. And
But at
it
least they
sucks,
got
but
paid.
exactly, and at least they got paid. At
And they
least
can, and if they're really good, they get NIL deals, and that's where
exactly.
like Caleb Williams was making like $3 million a year just off of brand deals,
Exactly. Like
which is
it's
ridiculous.
yeah, like it's and I was reading a an article from the Hockey News. Shout out to Ian Kennedy. He made a really good point. He lost it. He was saying that the NCAA, the athletes in the NCAA, like all the teams, all the leagues, and all the sports, have known for years that the NCAA makes tens
Yep.
of millions off them, and their coaching staff has often been paid millions of dollars when they win, and then they just have to go like. It was a very awkward and unfortunate situation where it was just kind of unpaid labor from the players, where
It
like
is.
the coaching staff would get paid millions of dollars when they're winning, and then the team that actually made them win and made them good, the players were getting paid nothing. They were getting paid in exposure or in experience, which is like
Even though
if you've
only
ever been
the
in
top 1% makes the show and where it matters.
And if you've ever been an unpaid intern, like me saying getting paid in experience probably gave you fucking PTSD.
Yeah.
Because like it's a wider discussion, but I fucking hate like the idea of that, like where it's like, oh, you get paid in experience, and it's like
Yeah,
you
it's
could
bullshit.
make the NHL, but it's like 1% of the league is gonna make the NHL, and it's like, yeah, it sucks, but
Like I think back to
finally
when
a change.
Yeah, I think back to when Bedard came to Calgary when he was with the Pats, and they sold out the Dome. It's the first time the Dome
yeah.
has been sold out in years. Like I have never seen that many seats packed. Like there was no free seats. The entire Saddle Dome was fully packed. It was loud. It was rocking, and it was an amazing game.
Yep.
But none of those players made money off of that. It was
Yeah.
all CSEC taking the revenue and the league. Like.
Yeah.
It's insane to me. They are professional athletes. They play like professional athletes. They should be compensated like them.
They put in the time commitment. They fucking dedicate their lives to this, and like,
And
They-
I know that an argument
frustrating.
against it is that like there are a lot of very unprofitable CHL franchises, and that like many of them do have financial concerns. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, but is that not a symptom of the problem itself? Like,
yeah,
the only reason you're able to own this team is because like you don't have to pay your players. Like this would move, if anything, this would give leeway to new ownership for a lot of these franchises coming in and being able to boost operations, spend more money on the team, like, and really get competitive. So I think it's a win for the players. And I think it'll be a win for the product going forward, because we're going to have, like, I'm interested to see where college hockey goes. The Frozen Four is really fun, but I think it could get to, like, March Madness status of, like, where people are just going nuts for it. So, good stuff.
yeah. Like it's finally like it's the it's about time. Honestly, like
Yeah.
I'm surprised it took this long. But yeah, like I forgot to put it in the notes here, but I just wanted to shout out the Moose Jaw Warriors for winning
Yep.
the WHL championship. I don't know how I missed that, but congrats on them. I actually funny enough, I got a chance to see the Moose Jaw Warriors live when they played the Hitmen not too earlier this season. So
Oh, really?
yeah, I didn't know. I wasn't following the WHL all that much, so I didn't know how good they were. But they kicked Hitman's ass, so they were pretty good. They were a really impressive team to watch, and obviously didn't know what I was looking at future champions. So good for them.
Yeah, first time in franchise history that they've done this. So.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's huge because I mean Moose Jaw. I mean it's a small town in Saskatchewan, so you think about like what winning a championship does to a town. Like it changes everything. Like even if they don't win the Memorial Cup, I know they lost to Saginaw the other night, who are just on a run as the hosts, but even just winning the Mem Cup like completely revitalizes that town. So you love to see something like this happening where a small town gets a W and brings home a chip. They have a great team. They have guys like Braden Yager and Matt Savoy and Zane Parak. Like, they're ridiculously good.
Yeah, I remember Parak actually stood out to me when I was watching him. I was like, that kid's like, he's all over the place. Like, he would not let any Hitman guy breathe for 2 seconds.
Yeah, and Braden Yager is like a ridiculously good center man. He reminds me of Sidney Crosby, which is funny because he got drafted by the Penguins. He's stupidly good. I really wanted the Flames to get him, and I was really mad when he went a pick before. But oh well.
Yeah, thus is the Flames.
The life of the Flames.
Yeah.
Actually, speaking of picks and all that garbage, Don Waddell steps down. He stepped down from it was a mutual agreement to step down from the Hurricanes GM job. Eric Tulsky, their longtime director of analytics, AGM, is the interim GM, and I believe he's probably just going to get the job anyways. I think the search is a formality, kind of like when the Leafs were like, we knew they were going to hire Berube, but they were like, oh, we're doing a coaching search. Like, no, you're going to hire Craig Berube. We know you guys. I know you, Brad Treliving. You're too easy. But apparently he's going into a president of hockey operations job by the Blue Jackets, which is kind of like, are they making a good decision?
I think so. Because
shocking.
That's how he started out with Carolina too. He started out as their president of hockey ops and then slowly merged into the GM role. It is a big change for Carolina. I think the years of kind of not being so close yet so far was kind of it for them. They needed a big change.
And I think I did hear on 32 Thoughts, I swear I get everything from them, but Eric Tulsky was like very huge in the decision-making process over the past couple of years. So it makes sense that he's going to take over because he's been so instrumental, but he learned from Waddell. And I believe with Waddell going to Columbus, he's going to bring in a GM that he can basically groom into the role and like help him. And I believe Rick Nash was rumored to be the one potentially taking over as GM. So him and Waddell paired up. I mean, that's a great front office. Like, we might finally be seeing a good front office in Columbus, and that scares me because this team has been a punching bag for their entire existence for decades, and they have such great prospects. If they bring those two guys in, they make a change at coach. In a couple of years, because they still have a cursed roster, but in a couple of years, they could be a little scary, a little scary.
Yeah, like you said, like they've been a punching bag for pretty much their entire existence, and I don't know if I'm ready to lose that punching bag. Like I really like making fun of the Jackets, honestly.
Yeah, I know. It's so easy to make fun of them. They have so many great prospects that have come up through the system that are still in their system.
Yeah.
They never do anything. And now, like, you hire one of the, like, I mean, is it not perfect to hire Don Waddell when you think about how he completely changed Carolina from, because Carolina was a bottom of the dumpster throughout the, like, basically right after their cup run in 2006, they fell off completely until they eventually like hire Waddell, and then he starts building this team. Like, they were awful throughout the 2010s. There was talk about them moving. Like, there was serious talks about they might get relocated because they had no fans come into their games.
It was yeah,
And
you
now
can't
it's like not
stress-
even a question. Like now you wouldn't. Now you would call me crazy for suggesting that they'd be
Yeah.
relocated. Like what? Like Carolina's one of the greatest markets in the league.
It is, yeah.
And part of it is Don Waddell
Mm-hmm.
really stupidly good drafting. And I mean, like most of their rosters, guys they drafted: Aho, Svechnikov, Teravainen, Shea, Pesci, Slavin. Like, they made great trades. They made great signings, all under him. Like he's stepping into the Jackets role like he was stepping into Carolina, but now he has all the knowledge of how to make it work like Carolina did, and so that really fascinates me. I'm interested to see where it goes.
Yeah, like he was one of those GMs that I think kind of pioneered the importance of scouting.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, like his drafting was impeccable. He was a pro scout for the Pens for 2 years in 2013 and 2014. And then the guys he was scouting went on to win the cup in 2016, 2017. So like he knows what he's doing. Like he knows what he's talking about. So I think he will be a huge asset for the Jackets. I don't think that the Jackets are going to be good anytime soon.
Oh hell no.
Like you need to it's important to stress how slow the build was for Carolina. Like you said, like they were bottom of the league. They were talks of moving. Like it couldn't get much worse for them. And then slowly and surely it built up year by year that they just got a little better, a little better, a little better.
And they
until
hit
like
on draft picks, and they hit on late draft picks too. Like that's the
Exactly.
thing. Like only like Svechnikov was second overall, and they got really lucky. I'm pretty sure they moved up from like the 12th in the draft to second. Like they got super lucky to get him. But Aho was like a 4th round pick. Now to be fair, that 2015 draft was stacked, but like they've hit on really late picks. A lot of their guys have been late picks. And even then, like later first, like Seth Jarvis was like 20th overall. And we're now like, holy shit, this guy's insane. Marty Nietzsche's. I know Marty Nietzsche's is probably getting traded just due to the cap, but he was like 17th. Like, man, they just find gems. The one thing I'll give Columbus is that Columbus has a good prospect pool. Like, they have guys like Juracek, Fantilli, Johnston. They have a really good prospect pool. What they need is, and this is what Don Waddell is really good at, is finding a coach like Rod Brindamore who's willing to play the young guys and like just let them loose. And Columbus has not been doing that over the past few years. It feels like they refuse to play the young guys and like in roles where they can excel and let them struggle, but also like part of struggling is also learning how to play better. And like that was their whole mantra in Carolina is like, yeah, we might suck for a bit, but like we're going to make sure that when these guys are ready to go on a run, and Carolina's won a playoff round every single year since 2018, with in part due to mostly their young guys. So they could be really good. And I know that their ownership has really deep pockets, and they're apparently really committed to the team. So good stuff. But I think that's enough on old Donnie Boy. Good move.
Yeah. Good luck to Donnie. We love Donnie around here, but honestly, it sucks because it's like I like Donnie, but I also
I want to see
like
the Jackets suck.
Yeah, I know, it's so funny. It's so fun. Anyway, speaking of watching a team suck and it being funny, Mitch Marner and the Leafs. There's not a huge amount of movement as of yet happening. It's still very early, but he has said that his preference is to stay in Toronto, and reportedly the Leafs have not approached him about waiving his no movement clause. So I think, do you think the trade is like off the table?
No.
Like it's unlikely that he'll get traded before July 1st at least. But
Yeah, no, there's no way. Also because he can't sign an extension before July 1st, right?
Yeah,
so
true.
I think if he's going to get traded, he's going to be traded with an extension, like the Kachuk trade, where they waited till after the draft so that they could sign him to an 8-year extension and then trade him as part of that extension to Florida. So I think he's gonna like I don't see a way where he doesn't get traded, like just on purely a cap basis.
Like how much cap space do they have? Because I also saw
Not
that the Leafs
much.
the Leafs were trying to re-sign Domi and Bertuzzi for extensions
To
as
long-term
well.
extensions, yeah. So
Yeah.
I think they have. They don't have much. I believe that they were going to have decent cap space, but that basically all gets eaten up by the Matthews and Nylander extensions, which kick in this year. Because this year is when Austin Matthews makes $13 million on the cap, and William Nylander makes $11 million on the cap, which is a $6 million raise, which they both deserve it. But that means that you can't pay Marner. Like, you just can't. You cannot pay. I'm totally fine with paying Matthews and Nylander that money, but if you're paying anyone else money like that, it better be like an Erik Karlsson or a Cale Makar on defense, or like a Vasilevsky in goal. You cannot have I'd argue more than 2 forwards making above $10 million on the cap right now. Like, you just can't build a good team like that. So I think Marner will get traded just due to the cap. I know everyone's talking about Nashville because, like, oh, it makes so much sense. Like, they have so much cap space. They need a top 6 winger. Like, he would be perfect playing with Forsberg and Yossi, and I don't disagree, but he's going to get traded to a team. He's going to pop off. He's going to win a Stanley Cup, and Leafs fans are going to have a meltdown.
Yeah. Like, it's one of those things where
It's going to be like when Tkachuk was traded.
Yeah.
It's going to be the exact same thing. He's going to go to a team and they're going to absolutely pop off. And then the fans from the other team are going to be like, well, fuck, why couldn't he do this with us?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, like it's again, like it's, I think the Leafs are in a position similar to Carolina where it's like something needs to change. There needs to be a big movement. It's not like you got a good roster on paper, but there's just something not clicking. And I think the way to it's a risky move, but the way to kind of do it is just like shake it up and see what happens. And they don't need any more offense. Like they're good on offense.
No, they need defense and goaltending, badly. And the one thing I will say, if you think about the Tkachuk trade, that was a win now trade for the Flames. The Flames were assuming that they could carry off remember, they just came off that second round loss to the Oilers. Like, they were seen as an up and coming, like, holy shit, this team is going to be good for years. So if you think about that in the context of the trade, Brad Treliving's probably going to make another win now trade. But the thing about the Leafs is that they're not going to collapse like the Flames. Like, they're still going to have a good team. So if they pull this off, and they need a number 1 defenseman, like straight up, whoever they trade with, they need either a number 1 defenseman or a number 1 goaltender. Yeah. I've seen people suggest that maybe there's a deal to be made with Vegas for Pietrangelo and maybe like Logan Thompson or Aiden Hill. And I could very much see that happening. That's such a Brad trade. But I think whoever they trade with, they're wanting a number 1 defenseman and or a number 1 goaltender. And if they get that, I low-key like that for them. Like, if you're going to trade Mitch Marner, you want to beef up the back end using that cap space. That's a lot of cap that you can play with. And I don't know, if they put Pietrangelo... Like, I think now that Craig Berube's coach, it actually might happen because Craig Berube loves Alex Pietrangelo. And to be fair, Pietrangelo had his best seasons ever under Berube. So...
I would hate to see him go to Vegas. But
God. And you know he would be so good playing with Jack Eichel. Like,
he would be so
oh my
fucking
God.
good.
That would piss... Oh, God.
There's 3 teams that I'm okay with him going to. There's Calgary, which obviously, and then jeez, get off. And then there's did I completely forget what the other teams were? No, it was I'm okay with seeing him go to the Red Wings, and
that'd be cool.
Also and I'm good with seeing him go to the Kraken. Those are my 3.
Oh yeah, Seattle just makes so much sense because of what they need. I'll be interested in seeing who their coach is because they still have to hire a head coach. I've heard it rumored that Dean Evison, who was fired from Minnesota, might be. And low-key, I kind of like that hire because he really knew how to play Kaprizov well. And, like, things just fell apart in Minnesota this season just because they were under a stupid cap crunch, and, like, Gustafsson just went ghost mode after being an absolute beast the season before.
Yeah.
So, like, low-key, I kind of like that. And if you pair Mitch Marner with, like, Jared McCann and Matty Beniers, that's kind of nasty. Like, Vince Dunn on the back end. Okay, like, you might be cooking. This team might be back in the playoffs. So, yeah, I would be cool to see that.
Yep.
We'll see, though. The chatter's going to pick up when we get to draft season, 100%.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think he's gonna be probably the player I'm watching most in this offseason.
Yeah, 100%.
Him and Stamkos, I guess, as well.
Yeah. Although Stamkos will probably just sign in Tampa.
Yeah, he's probably gonna do the boring ending where he just signs in Tampa for a couple more years and then retires.
But wouldn't it be cool to see him go somewhere else?
Yeah, I know. Like, make it fun. Like, do like a Lundqvist signing in Washington.
Yeah, like, do something crazy. Imagine he signs with the Panthers.
Oh, dude. That would be so fucking funny. The Battle of Florida would be fucking fire.
Oh, man.
Oh man. A man can dream.
Yeah.
Getting on to some stuff we did last episode as well. This one's going to be a little quicker because there's less teams, but some quick autopsies on the eliminated teams. This round, it's Vancouver, Colorado, Boston, and Carolina. Some big names on that list.
Where do you want to start?
I'm kind of curious what your take on Carolina is, personally.
Oh, man.
Seems like they had it all.
So they have a lot of free agents, like a shit ton. Like, basically their entire decor, I'm pretty sure it's like Pesci, Shea, D'Angelo, I'm forgetting one other, and I feel really bad. Hold on, let me look this up. But in terms of the RFAs, Marty Natchez is up, and then in a year, Jalen Chatfield on the back end too. Okay, let's just see this whole. I've got the full list. It's kind of insane. So RFAs, Marty Natchez. Okay, probably getting traded. Seth Jarvis, Jack Drury, Max Comtois, Dylan Coughlin. UFAs this year. Chatfield, D'Angelo, Gensel, Martinuk, Nason, Pesci, Ranta, Shea, Teravainen. And they don't have a lot of cap space.
Right.
The one good thing about this team drafting well is that they can fill the holes with some of their AHL players who have very high ceilings. Yeah. I don't know what they do. Like, they're gonna sign Jarvis to a long-term extension. You'd be insane to not sign him to like an 8-year deal this summer, probably at like $8 million. I'm gonna say an 8x8.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's probably gonna 8x8.
I feel like you need to re-sign Gensel because he was so good, and he finally kind of gave them that scoring edge. I know that things fizzled out, but New York just had their number. Like, and Freddie Anderson kind of sold. But anyways,
yeah.
I'm just interested to see what Tulsky does with this team because their entire decor is up. And not to mention, Slavin's up next year. Like, literally their entire decor, we've always talked about how, like, Carolina has this good decor. Like, they're so deep, they can shut anyone down. You can't afford all of these guys. Pesci's probably gone. There's no way they can afford him. Shea, probably gone. I think D'Angelo leaves just because. You hope that they can get Chatfield signed. He's a good second pair guy. But, like, oh man, how do you have the cap to sign Teravainen and Nason and Martinuk? And I don't know. But the main rumor is that they're trading Martin Natchez just due to this cap crunch. I'll be interested to see what happens. I've heard that they're in the market for a D-man. There's been some, I guess, rumors about, and Elliot Friedman was talking about this. He's saying there's some rumors about potentially trading with the Canucks and getting Philip Hronek back, who is an RFA defenseman. I could see it.
That would be helpful, yeah.
I think it fills what, and I've heard that Vancouver's also potentially interested in Kotkaniemi, who the Canes would be very smart to move on because that has been a disaster for them. I don't know. Like, they have to completely remake their team. They need to have a good draft. I think that's the most important thing because they're gonna have to plug like they just don't have cap. So I'll be interested to see what they do. I know Freddie Anderson's a UFA in a year. Like, what do they do there? Do they get rid of him? Do they bring him back? This team's gonna look completely different next year, and I don't even know what to think. So I don't know. What do you think?
I thought as soon as they lost to New York that I was like, yeah, huge changes are going to be coming in, and it's inevitable. Like, they don't really have a choice. They have so many UFAs, RFAs this season, and then next season as well. They have a few in 2025, Kuznetsov's a UFA, Fast is a UFA, and Lemieux is a UFA. You can let go of Lemieux, who cares? But some big names are going to be on the move from Carolina this offseason.
Yep.
I think they're going to be extremely active, especially with their new GM who's going to want to make some splashes. So I think, honestly, Natchez is most likely out of there. Just looking at their roster now and, who's up. D'Angelo's up. Pesci's up.
So many good players are up.
Yeah. Shea, I wouldn't be surprised if Shea gets moved as well. Chatfield will probably get moved. Yeah, they just gotta move guys that
Because
I know
they can't sign them all.
I know Shea's going to be asking for a pay increase, and he deserves it.
Same as Pesci. Shea and Pesci are going to be looking for big money.
Yeah, so I think those two are most either. I don't know if both of them are going to move. One of them.
I think at least one of them goes.
Yeah, and then the other guy is going to get the pay increase they're asking for. But yeah, honestly, it's weird when it comes to this team in the New York series, where it's not like they played terribly. They didn't play that bad. They just ran into a well-oiled machine in New York.
I do think part of it too was that Freddie Anderson.
Yeah, Freddie Anderson definitely had his struggles.
He struggled. If there's one guy I'm low-key pointing the finger at, it is Freddie Anderson, unfortunately. He struggled. The thing about Freddie is that when you get in his head, you just kind of break him, and
he's got Markstrom syndrome. Yeah,
he does. And I think they would be wise to switch to Kochetkov full-time and maybe sign a 1B kind of backup, but I don't think Freddie's the answer. Ned, excuse me.
And how old is he now? He's
in his mid to late 30s now. He doesn't have a lot of time left in the league, so I don't know. I think they'd be wise to not run it back with him, but we'll see what happens. They're probably going to be pretty active at the draft in terms of trying to trade guys. I'm interested because apparently they were trying to trade for Ullmark before the trade deadline, according to Elliot Friedman, and a deal never materialized. But the fact that they were interested in Ullmark tells me they're not confident in Freddie, and they're not 100% ready to give Kochetkov the net yet. So I wonder, honestly, part of me wonders if we were just going to get a trade out of left field and they trade for Yusei Saros and they send Natchez and some of their other forwards back to Nashville. Because Nashville, that, I could see that happening.
Yeah, I think, honestly, I know I said earlier that, I don't think Boston's going to let go of Ullmark, but I also think if there is a team that has the best case of getting Ullmark, I think it would be Carolina.
Yeah.
Just because they have so many good returns for him. They have, Teravainen, they could go.
They have a lot of great prospects and just good roster guys. I believe the deal starts with Marty Natchez. To my understanding, Boston has interest in Natchez. They are looking for a top 6 winger. That could be absolutely huge for them if they were to get Natchez, and this would be the time to do it.
Yeah, I would be interested in seeing where Boston would end up in that case, where I guess we could transition over to Boston then.
Yeah,
I guess they're on the list, but unless there's anything else you wanted to say about.
No, I'm just interested to see where this team goes.
Yeah, they're gonna be hella active this offseason, I would imagine. They're gonna be in everyone's DMs. So we'll see. I think they're already made it clear big changes are coming with the Don Waddell move. So yeah, like speaking of maybe some big moves coming, Boston, what's your head at with Boston?
Well, they got to trade Allmark. Like you can't sign Swayman to a massive deal and also have Allmark on a massive deal. Like it just doesn't make any financial sense, especially because to my understanding, Swayman is looking for a deal closer to what Sorokin got, which was an 8x8. You cannot have Allmark making six. You cannot have two goaltenders making almost like 20% of your cap. Like that's just you can't do that. I think they're going to trade Allmark for a forward. I think that's the big move that they really need to make. Like they need a number one center. I'm going to be interested to see if they go after Elias Lindholm. I like their decor. If they could make a move for Allmark that allowed them to either just free up the cap space for a number one center or get a number one center back, I think that would be really nice for them. I think that's all they really need. They really overachieved this year. I'm kind of impressed with how well they played, despite the odds being stacked against them. And they don't have too many UFAs that they really need to worry about, other than Swayman, who's an RFA. Like they need to get that done yesterday. So for me, that's what I'm watching. Is if and when this Swayman deal gets done. What are we looking at for Allmark? Because there's no way he's sticking around if Swayman gets that deal.
Yeah, I think they've made it pretty clear that Swayman is their guy. I think if they get that one, there's a possibility because Allmark's not a UFA until next year. I think there's the slight possibility that if they do get Swayman signed for something, that they run it back with the tandem one more time.
Yeah, I could see it.
But I think they would have to make a lot of moves on the D, like the back end of the D. I think a lot of like depth forwards will have to get moved. Wouldn't be surprised if Pat Maroon gets out of there. Same with Van Riemsdyk. Even guys like, if you're really fetching to make some money, like guys Jake DeBrusk could get you some good returns.
I'm interested with DeBrusk because I don't know how much the Bruins they clearly value him, but I just don't know if they're going to be able to keep him. It seems
the playoffs this year.
He was good in the playoffs, but outside of last season, which every single Bruin had a good year last year, they were literally the best regular season team in NHL history. He has not been good. Like this is a guy who was drafted in 2015 that has had one good season. I wouldn't blame the Bruins for moving on, but it also sounds like they want to keep him. So I hope they do, because I worry that the Flames will try and sign him, because he seems like the exact type of guy they would want to sign, and that makes me that pisses me off because I do not like Jake DeBrusk. We'll see. He's just not. I think he's overrated, honestly, which is insane because I don't know. I think he's overrated.
He's 27. He's older than I thought. He's got a baby face.
He does.
I don't got beef with Jake DeBrusk. I think Jake DeBrusk, I don't think he is like this shutdown forward that he's maybe touted as by some people, but I think he's a good depth piece. Like he's really good if you need some depth on the forward line.
Okay, I do agree that he's a good depth piece. I just don't like the idea of a team like the Flames trying to sign him as if he's a number one winger, because he is not.
See, your beef with players always boils back to poor decisions by the Flames.
Yeah, it kind of does.
That's why you hate. That's why you hate Derek Ryan. That's why you hate Mike Smith.
It's because just the team makes terrible decisions when they sign players. And so when I see players like this come up to UFA, I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, you know they're going to do something. You just know that the Flames would sign Jake DeBrusk to a 7x7 and be like, we really like Jake DeBrusk. We really see him as a core piece of our team. And then he scores 40 points a year on the Flames.
All I'm saying is, if I was skating in the right arenas, I'd probably got a 6x6 by the Flames too.
Honestly, yeah. If you played in an American market and you came up to
Mhm.
UFA and you like sweet talk the Flames, yeah, you probably could get a 6x6 and then score like 20 points from there on out each year.
That's all I would be amazed if I scored 20 points because like I I would honestly
You
just
might
get the
score
bag and then
15 and still get a like 5x5. Like that's just how they
that's all I
operate.
want.
As long as you
Dude,
have some grit and some heart.
dude, I got so much grit. I got so much heart. I care so much.
Yeah.
Like if I put me out there, sign me to a 5x5, then I'll retire in 5 years.
Okay.
But
Speaking
yeah,
of a
no.
close market,
Hmm.
unless you have anything else about the
No,
Bruins,
Boston. It's same shit, different year with Boston. I think
they're
Allmark's
just gonna do
probably
their
on his.
thing.
Yeah, Allmark's probably on his way out. They're gonna make some moves and then gonna be good again. Like it's. I hate Boston because they're like a fountain of youth, even though their guys are like
Yeah, they're
aging.
always good, and
Yeah,
you just gotta accept the fact that they're like the Rangers. They're always gonna be good.
exactly.
Getting on to a team that you watched pretty closely. How do you feel about Vancouver?
Funny. Well, no, like here's the thing with Vancouver, they played really well. I think
It was
a
close. I mean, it was
fucking
7 games, so like it was close.
it was a nail biter for sure. Like I think they played they gave the Oilers a run for their money for sure. I think even most Canucks fans will admit that the better team won in this instance.
Oh, I agree.
But like I don't know, like I think they had a lot of players that needed to step up. That
And
was
they
something
didn't.
that really stuck out was like there were so many players that needed to fill roles. And if they did, like if Pedersen and Lindholm and Hughes all stepped into the roles that they were designed to make, the Oilers would have stood no chance in my opinion. Because
Yeah.
especially with how fucking surprisingly good Shilovs was.
Shelovs was nuts.
Shilovs,
That guy showed up every night.
yeah, Shilovs, like I'm guilty of making fun of him when he first got announced that they're third string. I was like, oh yeah, the Canucks are fucked. Like it's over. And like, but like, guy proved me wrong night by night. Like I wouldn't be surprised. Like I was telling a friend of ours who's a Canucks fan, like he's the future. Like if Demko his injuries continue, do not be surprised if DeSmith's on his way out and Shilovs fills that backup role. Because
Yeah,
like
I
I
agree.
think Shilovs has proven that he is a clutch player. Like the game 7 was quite literally the game 7 and game 6 were quite literally the Oilers versus Shilovs. Like
Yeah.
it was not, and it goes back to what I was saying with their players that needed to step up. Like their defense fell apart in game 6 or in game 6 and 7. Like they were pretty good throughout the first 5, and then I don't know what happened, if they just drank like silly juice, but like Zadorov fell apart. He got so distracted by Kane and wanting to hurt him that he stopped being a defenseman other than if Evander Kane was on the ice. Tyler Myers turned invisible. Like Ian Cole was not even there, I don't think. And like
He was only there to score own goals.
exactly. And so Susie, like he was just like cross-checking McDavid in the face too much to like pay attention that his team was losing. And like Quinn Hughes, like that's the big story for me, is like everyone was talking about how Elias Pettersson wasn't showing up, but like Quinn Hughes went fucking ghost mode the last few games. Like he got 4 assists in the last 5 games, which for a guy, the captain, who with his scoring touch is just not good enough, in my opinion. Like I think
agree.
you need more from him. And like Elias Pettersson, like holy
That
fuck, I'm
to
looking
me
at
that
his
was the
stats
big
right
one.
now. That's unreal. Like 2 assists let me check the last 10 games. Last 10 games, 4 assists and 1 goal in 10 games from your superstar forward.
Yeah, and I
That's
know that he was dealing with
crazy.
tendonitis in his knee, but still, like, Draisaitl scored
Yeah.
17 points off of one fucking leg
Yeah.
2 years ago. Like, I don't know. I will say, I think this is exactly what they needed to have happen to them because it's a reality check on where they are. Like, yes, they overachieved, but now they kind of have this. I think this will give them that hunger to be like, okay, we were not ready for this, but we're gonna be ready. Like this is gonna. It's not like the Flames after 2022, or they just fell apart. Like this team is gonna be very good, for years to come with Rick Tocchet, especially if Demko gets healthy. That's the huge. To me, that's the big. Like, screw all the UFAs. I know that Lindholm and Zadorov are UFAs, and I know that they're gonna try really hard to sign them. Honestly, to me, the big question with this team is Demko because this guy just every year it's just always at the worst time. He has another lower body injury and can't play, and it's a different one every time. And at some point, you have to seriously question on can we make this work? Like, can we really, as much as we want to, keep Demko as our number one goaltender? I don't know if they can. I'll be interested to see next year. Like, you hope that he has a healthy season next year, but if he doesn't,
It
do you
sucks
look at
because it's
moving
like
on?
with Demko, it sucks because it's like no one's fault too. Like it's not.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure he would love to play as much as they want him to, and
Oh,
like
100%.
it's one of those things where I think you're right. Where come when he's up as a UFA in 2027, sorry, and if he's still dealing with injuries at the worst times, like every time a playoff push comes around, he's injured. You could get a mighty nice return for Demko. Like you could get a mighty, mighty nice trade out of him.
I
Like,
do think
a
the
lot
one
of teams would want him.
Yeah. I think the one silver lining is that you now have Shilovs. Shilovs can play more games, and that means you can give Demko rest going into the playoffs, or just throughout the season even. So I don't like the Canucks have not had a reliable backup basically until this year with the Smith and then Shilovs. So I think that is a benefit going into next season. Is now Rick Tocchet knows he can trust Shilovs to come in and play big games. Like if it's just a night where they're like, shit, we need to give Demko some rest. We're playing the Oilers, like fuck. Like normally they'd be like, we're screwed, but now it's like, okay, we can go to Shilovs, and we feel really good about it. And that'll just help Demko because a healthy Demko is one of the scariest goaltenders in the league. He is stupidly elite. He's like a top 5 goalie when he's healthy. That's just things. He's every single year he gets injured. So hope for the best, but that's to me that's the big question. Like I'm sure they'll find a way to get their UFAs signed. They're going to trade Filip Hronek most likely because they're not signing him to a long-term deal. If they get Marty Necas back, that'll be I really like that for them. Hopefully Pettersson's healthy. I don't know. This is a team where you can run it back and feel pretty good about it. So we'll see.
Yeah, like they're not hopeless for sure.
They're
like
not far off. Like honestly, they'll probably, provided that nothing goes too crazy next season, they'll probably still be a playoff team. Like I don't see any reason why they wouldn't be.
Part of me hopes they just don't pull a Vegas where they like panic and like are like, oh, like all of our key pieces like they didn't show up, like let's trade a bunch of guys that like helped us out. Like Garland's gonna stay. I would be amazed if Garland stayed. He was great. If he gets moved, I would be amazed. Garland was great. Like they need to keep the core together. They need to keep everyone together.
They just need to run it back.
Yeah, they just need to move a few pieces around. I don't know if Elias Lindholm was entirely the answer there. I was hoping he was, and they could run it back with Lindholm and see what happens. But I just think I don't know. Like it's tricky. I don't know. I think you could get
smart. I think you can get smart with the cap. And maybe let Lindholm go to bring in someone else. Like bring in even one of their like prospects, like a guy like Jonathan Lekaramaki, who was their first round pick, 2 years ago. Like he can play center, or Atu Ratu, who's playing down in their AHL team. Like they could get creative with it. And you know what? It's like Rod Brindamore in Carolina. Like it doesn't matter who you bring in personnel wise, he's gonna make it work. Like, they have the coach to make it work. So, I think, honestly, they'll be fine.
Yeah.
Provided they don't, like, if they do something really stupid, then yeah, like they're probably boned. But if they just do the smart, like, I'd say safe choices, they'll be fine.
Yeah, like to be fair, they were playing with house money in the
Yeah, they
playoffs
were
this
not
year. Like
expected to be here.
no, I thought it was going to be another transition year. I thought it was going to be another year of just sadness. But no, they proved a lot of people wrong. They proved me wrong. So good on them for that. But speaking of proving a lot of people wrong, Colorado, their final
Oh
elimination
God.
so far. What are we thinking?
Oh no. I don't know. I don't think enough people are panicking about this team. I know they got McKinnon, and they got Makar, and they got Rantanen. So like, and they've got Jared Bednar behind the bench. So like, they're always going to be good. But I just don't know if right now, as this team is built, if I see another cup, because
Not for a while.
Landeskog might, I say might come back next season after missing 2 full seasons with his knee injury, but there's still a high likelihood that he doesn't. Going 2 seasons without your captain has been showing its wear. Like, they just, when they need a guy to rally around, they just don't have it. And I think that's been weighing on them. The Nichushkin situation 2 years in a row, like, talk about that. That is a mess. And the way it sounds like from their exit interviews is that he's not a popular guy in the room.
I'd be
And
amazed if he was like
that is a huge issue as well, because you now have this guy who they signed to a long-term extension after their cup, right after the cup run. And at the time, it seemed like a steal of a deal. Like the 6x6 that he signed after they won the cup, like for what he was doing for them, that seemed like an insanely good deal. Now it's kind of like, uh-oh. And they can't, I think one of their issues is that they can't just move off of it. They have no grounds to terminate his contract. It would have to be a mutual termination, or they'd have to trade him. And I mean, what team is trading for him right now, other than the Oilers?
And it's like you said, it'd have to be mutual. And as from everything I've seen, Nichushkin wants to be there. He doesn't want.
Yeah, and
to terminate.
that's an issue because it's his right to be there. They signed him to an extension, but it's just, I don't know. They need to make some big changes. They also need to sign Casey Middlestat to an extension. I really like that trade still. I think that was an amazing trade for both sides, with the Sabres getting Bo Byram and them getting Middlestat. Hopefully they can get him to a nice long-term extension to be their second-line center. But I don't know. Like, this team just they need a better goaltender. They need some better defensive depth. They need their captain back. They need their locker room issues gone. And I just don't know what they do, because they can't spend big money because they have so much tied up in LTIR and Nichushkin. They have to make sure that they have $6 million in space available for when Nichushkin comes back in November. Like, this team might miss the playoffs.
Still in there as well.
This team might miss the playoffs this year.
It's possible because, like,
with just that the fact that they can't build a good roster because they have to wait for Nichushkin to come back from a suspension.
How long is he suspended for again?
He's suspended till November.
Yeah, like,
and they can't put him on LTIR. They have to keep that cap space open from day one of the season for him.
Yeah, like, it's one of those things with the thing with Nichushkin is also, like, this isn't the first time he's had issues.
Yeah,
like
there was
like,
that incident in the Seattle hotel last year with that unconscious woman, which is a whole thing in and of itself. I can't believe that nothing happened after that.
Yeah, so it could be like a fool me once kind of thing, fool me twice, and then fool me 3 times. And it's like, again, like, I don't envy the locker room at all. I can't imagine how fucking awkward it is there, because, like, you know for a fact guys like Makar and McKinnon fucking hate that guy, because like they have put so much work into the team of making them a contender and put so much, like, they have so much expectations for their team.
They're gamers. Like, they
absolutely.
They probably hate that this is happening because all they care about is winning. And it's part of what Landeskog kind of instilled in the team. It's why he's their captain. He instilled, like, we are a winning team in them.
Yeah. And it's just because this fucking loser can't get his act together. And, like, he can't stop fucking up outside of the and just like
And like you
being
are
a
an
piece of
NHL
shit.
player, you have an insane amount of privilege that you have to take, like you have to be responsible for.
Yeah.
And the fact that this is 2 years in a row that he's pulled this garbage is quite frankly like it's disgusting. Like what he did last year, like I'm surprised. I'm
That's
still
why I'm
surprised he
perfectly
isn't in
comfortable
prison.
calling him. Yeah, like I'm perfectly comfortable calling him a fucking loser because like
Yeah,
if
he
he
has a
just
kid at
failed
home
his drug
too.
test,
He
yeah,
just had a kid with his wife. Like,
if he
man, go
just
be a
failed his
dad.
drug test, then whatever, right? Like he's not the first guy to do it. Whatever, it happens. But like with that in context as well, like dude, fuck this guy for real.
Yeah, I 1000% agree. I think he's a loser. I think, and again, he's in stage 3 of 4 of the assistant program, which means that he's violated it multiple times before. And if he is to violate it again, he gets his contract terminated and he's banned from the league.
Yeah.
Like, in what
Honestly,
world is
that's
he
the
not going to violate it again?
honestly if I'm the Avalanche, I'm kind of hoping for that because
Honestly, yeah.
that's such a good
That's the way
bailout
you get out.
because yeah, like that's such a good bailout because they owe him so much money right now for so long that like and like I believe in rehabilitation, I really do, but I just think like I hope that he can get his act together and hope that he can rehabilitate and not be a
Atone
piece of
and
shit to atone for his sins or whatever. But like, part of me is just like I cannot root for this guy and I cannot look forward to the team anymore because like they have so many good players. Like they have so much potential, but it's being weighed down by like this one guy and also just like if you look at their depth, it's not amazing. It's not as good
yeah.
as it was when they won the cup.
Their
Like,
depth when they won the cup was stupidly good.
yeah, like it was crazy good. But now, if you look at like other than like McKinnon, Rantanen, Wood, arguably, Makar, obviously, Devon Taves, Middlestad, and I guess Samuel Girard, even though he struggled this year, it just falls off a cliff. Like it just like it's just
Yeah,
straight down.
I'm low-key kind of wondering if management is prepping for a retool. Like, if they lose Landeskog and they keep losing to Chushkin, they don't have a lot of prospects. They have depth that they need to fill. I kind of wonder if they go under the radar and maybe miss the playoffs for like a year or two, try and go for a lotto pick. I know you'll piss McKinnon and Makar off, but those guys are gamers. Like, those guys are never going to be satisfied until they keep winning. They want to win every year.
They see the vision, though. I think they're smart enough. Like
I
I
do,
think
and I think the org is smart enough to sit them down and be like, hey, like we
we got
know,
you a cup.
but like we need to do this so that we can get back here. It's
Yeah.
not completely dissimilar to what happened to the Bruins after they won the cup in 2011, where they were like, you know what, we don't got this. And they missed the playoffs for a couple of years, but they still stayed pretty competitive. And they drafted David Pasternak and Charlie McAvoy and Jake DeBrusk, and they made some great moves. So
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah, like I think
I think they
the
can
org has good
retool and be
leverage where
better.
they could, like you're saying, like sit them down and just be like, "Look, we got you a cup. Wasn't it? That was amazing. Like we want to do that again, but like
But we
let's
can't do
just
it right now.
yeah, like we're outside factors in and outside of our control have just like fucked us right now. So I think we just need to run it back for a couple more years. They're patient. Like there was a long time where McKinnon was like
There's a lot
there
of the
was
time where
a
people
lot
were
of
calling him a
talks.
bust. Like,
Yeah, yeah. Like they are patient guys, and like I think it's the same kind of argument I have with Draisaitl and the Oilers, where it's like
you
everyone's
have to
saying like,
wait.
oh yeah, you have to wait, and Draisaitl, people were saying with Draisaitl, it's like, oh like he's probably gonna want to leave, like if he's probably gonna sign somewhere else or request a trade or whatever if they don't win the cup. You got to understand with guys like Draisaitl, McKinnon, McDavid, and Makar and all those guys, when they sign with a team, they are committed to the team because they know their value. They know
Yeah.
that they can get money and get paid wherever they want. So like
Yeah.
they know their value and they know when they sign with a team, they want to win with that team. And there is a certain kind of word to be said, and a lot of players have echoed this in the past, where teams or players like especially high draft pick players, like first round pick, first overall pick guys, are so committed to winning the team that drafted them, just to like prove that they were right, just to say like.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if McDavid says he said this multiple times, he wants to win with the Oilers because they took a chance on him. I know it's silly to say taking a chance on McDavid, but you never know. Like, guys can go bust. Like, it's happened before where guys look incredible and then they get to the show and they just don't have it. It's happened a million times.
Yeah.
And like, so there's definitely a word to be said that the Draisaitl and McDavid will stay with the Oilers. I don't know why I'm talking about the Oilers all of a sudden, but it's one of those things where, especially in Draisaitl's case, where there were many years like McKinnon, people are saying he's a bust. He's not going to live up to expectations. You should trade him. He'll sign somewhere else, whatever. But then they kept with him. They saw that he had potential, and same with like that's what the Avs did with McKinnon. They saw the potential he has. They saw what the player he could be, and how committed he was to the team by taking those low money contracts for so long, and then taking like the years and years of failure and not hitting the mark. And like you said, he's a gamer. He wants to win. He's always had that hunger, and he stuck with them. And I think a lot of teams, like, they'll see, like, it's a mutual thing where teams will see, like, he stuck with us for so long, let's try to make the team better to get him to win. And the players will see that, oh, they didn't trade me, they didn't listen to the bust rumors or whatever, they believed in me. I'm going to do everything I can to help them get better and help them win. And I think that's the case with McKinnon, Draisaitl, all those guys. Like, it's a certain amount of trust where you just got to have in each other. And I think the trust is there with the Colorado. I think that they do trust each other. They've made it very clear that McKinnon, the Org, Makar, and the key guys that they need, like Ristel, Rantanen, all those guys, they all are on the same page. They know, they see the vision, they see where they're headed. So I think that is a huge asset that a lot of teams envy, where I think a lot of teams are like the Flames, a lot of guys have different ideas of what the team should do, and the org is kind of not sure what they should do at this point. So I think they're in a better position than most, but I would not be surprised, like you're saying, is if they revert back and kind of run it back to maybe sucking for a few more years to build it up again.
Yeah. 100% agreed. I'll be interested to see what they do. They might do something crazy at the draft. I don't know. They just, they're kind of screwed by the Landeskog and Nichushkin situations, so we'll see what they do.
Yeah. Fuck, I hate Nichushkin. But yeah, so yeah, that's pretty much all the autopsies we have. Moving on to our favorite moments of the playoffs so far. Do you want to go first?
I'll admit that I haven't been able to watch as much of the playoffs this year as I've wanted to. I paid quite close attention to Vancouver Oilers. I definitely paid a lot more attention to the Carolina series because I was interested. I think my favorite moments so far this playoffs, I really liked how Joe Wall played in game 5 and 6 for the Leafs. I thought that was really, I really thought the series was swinging momentum there. The Miro Heiskanen 2-goal game against Colorado, I think it was in game 5 in the second round, was insane. This guy's just on another level other than Evan Bouchard. I really liked, I think my highlight has been the Vancouver Oilers series though. Like that series might that'll probably go down as the best series of the playoffs. Unless like the Cup Finals are crazy. Like I really do think like if in like 5 years the hockey guy is counting down his next like set of like favorite playoff series, I have a feeling this is going to be the number one just because it was so even. The games were just like high scoring back and forth, guys just popping off. And if the Oilers go on to win the Cup, I'm going to be kind of pissed if Evan Bouchard doesn't win the Conn Smythe because this guy is on another level. I know that Draisaitl has 25 points, but Evan Bouchard is scoring better than any defenseman in NHL history in the playoffs. This guy is
just
a monster. He's on fire. He has been the highlight for me. Like, this guy is just an offensive machine. Like, he's looking like prime Erik Karlsson out there. I know he doesn't have Erik Karlsson's like defensive side, but man, this guy is just a nightmare. When he gets the puck, it's like, oh, for fuck's sakes, like they're gonna go score. And also Ekholm has been good on that pair. But that Vancouver Oilers series is probably my favorite. Oh, and I do have to honorable mention Chris Kreider with the Hattie to close out that Carolina series. That was nuts.
Yeah, that's kind of one of mine too. Is Kreider, specifically his clinching goal against Carolina in Game 6 was pretty. That was like, when you think like playoff hockey, it's moments like that for me where it's like a guy who's always kind of more of a leadership guy more than a goal scorer, just kind of pulling it together and kind of securing the win against a team that a lot of people favored. I did. Like, I favored them. So that ripped my heart out from a bracket perspective. But at the end of the day, best team won. Can't fault them for it. I'm not mad about it. So I would say my favorites is that Kreider goal, and also going back to like the Oilers Vancouver series, where specifically the last 5 minutes of Game 7, Vancouver had a way of making each game unbelievably interesting. Like no matter the lead, I was always scared. Like even when it was like 3-0, I was worried because I know Vancouver can pull it together. I know that they can just make it work. And Game 7 was a perfect example of that, where they scored with like 8 minutes left, and I was like, okay, it's a little waft of shit. I was sitting there in my full Oilers garb, just like ready to go, ready to call it a night. And then they scored with 8 minutes left, and I was like, okay, a little waft of shit, but no big deal, it happens. And then they scored again with 5 minutes left, and I was like, oh, fuck, here we go. Like, I got flashbacks to Game 1, and I was like, it's happening again. It's happening again, but worse because it's Game 7. And then that last 5 minutes, I honestly don't think I breathed. Like, I think I was holding my breath the entire time.
Yeah.
And, like, it was so much fun to watch. It was such good hockey. And you could say that for, like, pick a game in that series. Like, it was so fun to watch. Like, those teams were so evenly matched that it just, like, I'm hoping the Dallas series can recreate it, and it has so far at least. I'm not gonna get too ahead of myself on the Oilers because I know we're talking about our predictions later in a minute. But yeah, the Oilers look legit for real. I think they look better than they ever have. And then finally, just a quick favorite thing is, from a biased perspective, Vegas and LA being eliminated in the first round. You love to see it.
Yep,
the world
100%.
It's a beautiful world out there, It was a nice shiny day. I went out and heard the birds chirping, butterflies flew by. It was a beautiful day.
100%.
Yeah. Do you have any other favorite things before we move on to our final picks?
I do agree with that. I really liked seeing. I kind of hate the fact that the Oilers and Dallas are in the same conference because they've had such good runs. Both teams are on nuclear level runs right now. It's unfair. Like, this should be a Stanley Cup Finals matchup.
I was gonna say in our predictions, like, dude, imagine if this was a Cup final, because especially with like the history that Dallas and Edmonton have in the playoffs, like, man, this
is literally the perfect matchup. Like, you could not have asked for a better matchup for both teams. Like, this is the best possible Western Conference Finals we could have got, in my opinion.
Yeah. The two teams that absolutely deserve to be there, in my eyes.
Yeah, I agree.
If any other team made it, I would say that they're running on house money or didn't entirely deserve it.
No, these two teams, it sucks that one of them is going to get eliminated because they both, I don't know. I've just really like this has just been a really good playoffs from the West side. I haven't cared as much for the East side, I'll be honest, because I kind of figured Carolina was going to get mopped, and like
Yeah.
you knew that the Panthers and the Rangers were going to go on a run. I also don't like those teams, so yeah.
I think, yeah, like I find I'm definitely gonna watch the Florida New York game tonight, or
Yeah,
I guess
100%.
this afternoon. But like, it's gonna be fun, and it's fun hockey. But at the end of the day, like,
I care more about
I
the
have
Dallas
more.
Oilers series.
Yeah, and obviously I'm biased, but I have more emotional investment in the Dallas Edmonton series. I think like my main worry, the only reason that I'm paying attention so much to the Florida New York series is because there's a good possibility the Oilers might face either of those teams.
Yes, there is a very good chance.
Yeah, like I want to see what we're up against, kind of thing. In that case, but again, I don't want to put the cart before the horse because I think that Dallas is not going to lie down and die. Dallas has proven that they could be down 2 games in a series and they'll crawl back. Like they can do it. They did it against Vegas, so like we'll see. I mean, fuck, dude, it's a coin flip. I guess we can transition into our
Yeah,
predictions.
who you got? Who's going to the finals?
Man, dude, I'm pretty confident that I don't want to bet against the Rangers again, but I'm pretty confident Florida's going to make it just because when they ride the momentum train, they're pretty much unstoppable except if you're in Vegas for some reason. But fuck, dude, this is tricky. Oh, dude, I don't want to put my opinion on a public platform and then like, okay,
No, you
fuck
gotta
it.
do it. You gotta do it.
Florida. I'm gonna say Florida. Fuck it, Florida Edmonton. I'm gonna say Florida Edmonton final, and then
Okay.
for the winner, I would say Florida, but I do think Florida just because Skinner. I don't know if he can take it all the way. But I do think that it's going to be very close, and I do see it going either way.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's gonna be Edmonton Rangers. I think the Oilers have played well enough to where it's probably gonna go 7. Both of these are probably gonna go 7, but I do think the Oilers squeak through. Like I don't think last night's game was indicative of how they're gonna play the rest of the series, and it was still
They
close
played
enough.
so fucking well last game too.
Yeah, like
they
they
did not.
honestly
They
they
played
got
really
kind of
well.
goalied by Ottinger.
Yeah.
And Skinner also kind of had some, but if that's the
He
one
had his
bad
moments,
Skinner game of
but-
the series, it is what it is. Every goalie has a bad game in each series. I just think that Edmonton's game 1 was so fucking good that like I think they squeaked this one out, and I think it's getting over the hump that they kind of needed to.
Yeah. That win, I think people underestimate how big that game 1 win in the
Yeah.
Western Conference Finals was.
And I
for
mean,
their
we'll see.
morale.
Like, I still see either team winning this series. Like, I think, in my opinion, whoever comes out of this series is winning it all.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pick the Oilers to come out of this series. On the Eastern side, I still think the Rangers. They showed me last night that they can solve Bobrovsky, and I think the Panthers are a team that are prone to getting hot-headed, and they took way too many penalties last night. Like they or not last night, the night before. Like they need to be better. I think New York probably, again, this is going to go to 7, but I think the Rangers will squeak this one through. I just think they're deeper and they know, like, Jacob Trouba's going to throw flying elbows and, like, they're just going to beat the Panthers down. I know the Panthers beat them back, but, like, they don't have a guy like Chris Kreider who's going to go be like, I'm going to go score a hat trick right now. Like, that's just not the way they play. They play a very physical, like, team-based game. So I think the Rangers pull it through. I'm going to go and predict Edmonton Rangers. I'm going to stay solid on the Rangers. But it could be either Dallas or Edmonton. But I'm going to say, and it pains, well, it does kind of pain me to say this, but I do think the Oilers are going to win the cup. I've seen enough. They're just, I think we're gonna look back on this run and be like, "Holy shit, this was a legendary run!" Like, there's 4 Oilers in the top 5 in playoff scoring, and
Yeah,
like they're like
yeah.
so much more ahead of everyone else. It's not even funny. Like, this
Yeah,
team is
they're
ridiculous. Also, shout out Vincent Trocheck for being top 5 in scoring. Who saw that coming?
literally nobody.
That's
I
a
thought
that's a
Matthew
huge.
Tkachuk would be 5.
I thought so too, but no, Vinny
Yeah.
Trocheck. This guy is on a monster run.
Yeah.
He's on like a Nazem Kadri like 2022 level run where he's just like
Yeah.
second line center, but he's popping off. Anyways, I just think they're too like they're beating the you can only play offense allegations. Like, they had some huge penalty kills in
Their
the
penalty
Vancouver
kill-
series, even in this series so far. It's been really good. Like,
The Dallas Oilers series has been like it's funny because there hasn't been a lot of penalties actually, but it's very much like the battle of the best power penalty kill, because I think it's Dallas has the best penalty kill, and then just under I think is Edmonton, if I'm not mistaken.
yes.
Which is crazy because, like, again, we're beating the only offense allegations. Like,
No, they're playing
their penalty
good,
kill's been
good ass defense.
fantastic. And, like, it's been bailing out Skinner in so many situations where Skinner has struggled. And again, like, at the end of the day, like, if Skinner is having his rough night, like, we're not against throwing Pickard out there either. Like,
Yeah.
Pickard has been playing well every time we put him out. Like, I know he only played, or did he play? He played Vancouver, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you did. Yeah. So we're confident throwing him out there. But yeah, like you were saying, like, just looking at the fucking stats for the Oilers, it's unreal. Like, Nuge, 3 goals, 10 assists. McDavid, 2 goals, 11 assists. Hyman, 6 goals, 2 assists. Dylan Holloway, a goal and an assist. Draisaitl, 6 goals, 11 assists. Kane, 3 goals, 2 assists. Bouchard, 4 goals, 11 assists. Ekholm, 3 goals, 2 assists. It's fucking wild. Like, and it's... I think we're genuinely getting to the point where we're dodging the no depth allegations as well. Like, Cody Ceci even, 2 goals, 1 assist. Like, Brett Kulak, 4 assists. Where else? Maybe that's it. But the old Connor Brown, 1 goal, 1 assist. Like, our depth has been showing up, and I said it on Instagram the other day, but in my opinion, other than McDavid, Dylan Holloway is the best skater on the team. If you see him go, like, he is a ballsy motherfucker on the ice too. Like, he drove. I remember the one last night was he was going down through the corner on a rush, and I thought he was gonna go loop around the net for a wraparound, but Buddy just dug in and just went full speed directly into Ottinger. He is just like a fucking animal, and he does not care. So I think guys like him are stepping up, and it's finally paying dividends. Like, I think hopefully they can keep it together. Hopefully they can push it through. I hope, for my sake, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I do think they're going to pull it through. I think they're going to win the cup. I think we're going to look on this as an absolutely insane playoff run where they beat all their demons. It's probably, like, if they win the cup here, I think the floodgates open, honestly. Like, the team is just too good to not win a cup. Like, I'm sorry. When you have McDavid and Draisaitl, like, this team has just been... Yeah, I just think they're ready. Like, they look ready for it. They look ready.
They're
and Chris
hungry.
Knobloch, like, if they win the cup, Chris Knobloch should have a shrine built for him to go from
I'll build
AHL
it.
coach. And I know he was an amazing AHL coach with Hartford, but to go straight from that to coaching this team and to take them on this run, like, build this guy a statue.
Yeah, he's gonna get a statue next to Gretzky outside of Rogers' place. Like, I feel
He
so
has
bad
balls.
because
He
he
has
has
balls.
serious balls, and, like, he's one of those guys that, like, he's not the coach that you'll see like kind of a Paul Maurice character where you'll see him, like, red in the face yelling at the ref or whatever. He's very calm, he's very collected, and, like, whenever you cut to him, I would never want to play poker with him because he's got an amazing poker face, where he like just the most unbelievable bullshit will happen on the ice with a call or whatever. He'll be like upset. You can tell he's like pissed about it, but he's never gonna like lose his cool. And I think that's very important with a team that doesn't have a huge amount of long-term playoff experience, where a lot of guys are antsy, a lot of guys are nervous. I think looking over at your head coach and he's calm, he's collected, because you got to know, like you said, this is his first year in the NHL. He's fucking shitting bricks right now. Like you got to know, like he's nervous because like he could make. Is this the first time a first-time coach has made it? Would have won the cup? Would that be the first time?
I don't believe so.
Okay,
I'd have to look, but I don't believe so. But it hasn't happened like in recent history. Like I'm really trying to think, but actually,
it might be the first of the
Craig
salary
Berube.
cap era, at least.
Craig Berube.
Craig Berube.
He was an assistant coach. Then they fired their coach. He took over interim during the season they won the cup. This was his first head coaching experience.
Okay.
So.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
Good company.
Yeah, that's very good company to be in. I don't know. They're just too good. And I don't care if the Panthers try and come at them. I don't care if it's the Rangers coming at them. Their offense just beats you down, and there's nothing you can do. Like, again, Evan Bouchard, when this guy has the puck, he's like Erik Karlsson. Like, he does not have he doesn't have the, like, insane laser vision passing of Erik Karlsson, but this guy, you just slot him on the power play, and you're like, yep, he's going to score.
Bomb. Yeah.
The Boosh bomb. Yeah, he just bombs. Like, this guy's just an offensive, like, mastermind. And he's paired with a defensive mastermind. And I don't know.
I got called crazy by some friends of ours when I said this, but I'll stick by it. Ekholm Bouchard is the best defensive pairing in the league. I think genuinely, when it comes to beating a team down, you have Bouchard, who scares the shit out of them offensively. And then if they get some defense going, like if the Stars get some offense going and going down on the rush, they are an amazing rush team. But Ekholm is an amazing rush defender. He knows how to shut down defensemen, keep them to the outside, keep them against the wall, and you can never get anything going if you're just going against the wall every time. So I stick by it. I do think they're the best and most exhausting defensive pairing to play against, because like you get a little offense going, and then Ekholm shuts it down. Then you're on the defense, and Bouchard is just shooting clap bombs 90 miles per hour at you every time, and it's exhausting. I can't imagine. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say I will concede. I'll give him number 2, but I still think Makar and Taves are the best pair in the league.
That's true. There's an argument to be made for sure.
But I will 100% agree that they are top 2. Like, no way they're not. Like, they are just stupidly good.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's something that does worry me though with Dallas is extremely good at playing at adapting to their competition.
Yep.
They are so fucking good at it that it's like almost scary, because it's like the Oilers thrive off of a team that takes a lot of penalties and focuses too hard on offense. They thrive off that. So what the Stars have been doing and did last game was they didn't take pretty much any penalties. I think they only got like 1 or 2 the entire game. And so it didn't get the Oilers a chance to bite on their insane power play. And they really kept the offense up, that their defense just didn't really need to do much, especially in the last few periods. The first period was first and second were a little more all Oilers. But like, again, Ottinger just kind of stayed tight. He played well. So I think the Stars are extremely smart, and they know what they're going to do against the Oilers. And I think it's vice versa. I think the Oilers know what they're doing against Dallas, but it's going to be tricky. That's the thing that does give me hope if the Oilers do squeak out against Dallas, and they face Florida, even the Rangers, but Florida especially. Florida is very undisciplined. They can very much get hot-headed and just take a lot of penalties, and especially with the history that Kane and Kachuk have. I totally see that being like a Zadorov situation where Kachuk kind of just gets in his own head and freaks the fuck out and has like a spazzo moment and just kind of takes stupid penalties, and you just can't take penalties against the Oilers. Like, they will make you pay for it. So, yeah, that's that. Do you have anything else to add? Any other major sweeping predictions?
Nope. I'm just I want these series to go to 7. I want the Cup Finals to go to 7. I'm like stupidly excited for these Cup Finals. Like, I will be watching every single game like a hawk. Like, this is gonna be ridiculous, especially if the Oilers get in. Like, I know all my coworkers are gonna be going ballistic. So
I like your coworkers already.
Yeah, they're all from Edmonton, so they're diehards.
Like I've already told my boss is an Oilers fan too, and I already told him that if the Oilers make the Cup Finals, I'll need that week off.
Yeah, if they make the finals, we're gonna have to get together and watch some of these games in person.
Absolutely, we will.
Other than that, I don't know. I'm just excited.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be great. More hockey, the better. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for listening. That has been another episode. I'm gonna go watch I guess the Florida game starts in an hour or so.
Yep.
So watch that, and then probably the PWHL final, and then go to sleepy time. But thank you for watching. That has been all. Bye.
Boom.